discomfort is an emotion. And emotions, what are they? They are energy in motion. And so they're energy that comes up to deliver a message. So whether that message is discomfort, right? Whatever emotions come up for you, discomfort, sadness, grief, anger, joy, elation, ecstasy, whatever it is that comes up following the ketamine journey, can you open up your vessel to let that emotion through? Hello, hello. Welcome back to Ketamine Connections. My name is Krishtal. I'm so excited you're back. Yeah, I think I say this every week. I'm just so excited by how this podcast is growing. I'm excited by your questions. I'm excited by the interactions that we're having. So many of you have jumped on the email list and are making use of the hypnosis recordings that are in my free library. How fun. It's just so fun for me. Okay, today's episode, what should I do after my ketamine sessions? So, this is a really common question, whether you have already done ketamine or you're just starting to do ketamine. This is like, I feel like it's like the question that you have, where you're like, what do I do with my hands? Like, what do I do after the ketamine's over? So, that's what we'll explore today. I'll dive into some questions that are pretty common about this, some best practices that I've seen in my years of working as a ketamine coach, and also, yeah, some practices to recommend to you, attitudes and things like that, and also point you in the direction of further resources as well. Okay, so before we dive into any of that, like, why does it matter? Why, I talk about this a lot that we're such a like ceremony focused society, that we're all about like what happens with the ketamine, and that's what this podcast is about. It's about everything that happens outside of that, right? Like, how do you prepare for it? What do you do the day of? Like, how to set up your journey in a way that is authentic to you, that serves your needs, because there are actually so many different ways of doing ketamine. And so that's what this podcast is about, is getting the emphasis off of the ketamine session itself and everything that surrounds it. So why does it matter what you do the day of or like the hours after ketamine? Why does this matter at all? It matters because ketamine opens up a window of neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity, I've talked about this in previous episodes, it's the ability to change your brain. And so neuroplasticity is how your brain becomes malleable and, yeah, like shapeable, almost like Play-Doh, right? So you have this like raw Play-Doh, and anything that you do after your ketamine is going to, like, if you actually think of Play-Doh, right? Like, how Play-Doh dries out? This is the time when where right after the ketamine is the time where the Play-Doh is like the wettest. It's the most malleable. It's the most what's it called? Impressionable. And so that is a time where you want to really protect your brain and really feed it those things that are going to serve your desired results. The way that you spend the time after ketamine can influence, yeah, like think of it like whatever you do after the ketamine is almost like a stamp, and you're stamping your very soft, very pliable, very malleable Play Doh with whatever that activity is. And so the brain is more susceptible to input, to programming, to everything that happens after the ketamine can really influence even how you think or feel or reflect back on the ketamine, right? Like whatever insights you take from the ketamine, depending on what you do after, can influence even that. So you really want to protect that time following the ketamine sessions themselves. So as you can imagine, jumping back into work, not a good idea. Even honestly, I'm going to talk about this later. Like even setting the expectation for you to jump back into work is not a good idea. Social media, screens, different things that are already like programming your brain in questionable ways, right? Like when you're scrolling, depending on how you've trained the algorithm, it doesn't matter how well you've trained the algorithm. You really don't know what you're going to get. So really, really protecting that space. Okay, we're going to answer this question in parts, right? So, even before you get to the screen, even before you consider opening up your work email, even before like any of that happens, the first consideration is, how are you getting home from ketamine, right? You need a ride. So, whether you have someone picking you up, whether you're taking a taxi or some sort of like, ride share offer, whatever it is, I want you to really consider that. Like your ride home from the clinic is going to be really important. And so you want to set yourself up with a really good experience. In episode 28, where I talk about like, should you journey solo or should you solo journey with someone in the room? There's actually a part of the episode where I talk about this, where you want your journey, your ride to and from ketamine to be just as important as who's in the room. So really considering making sure that whoever is driving you is a safe space, making sure that they're there for you and not there from themselves, making sure that they can respect your boundaries and your needs, making sure that if you need quiet for the whole ride home, whatever that is, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, that they're able to respect that and again be in service of you. So that's the first thing to consider in considering what do I do after ketamine? The first thing to consider is, well, how are you getting home and how can you set yourself up with the best ride home? Okay. And then what do you do when you get home? That is going to depend on you and how you feel. And this is what I tell clients all the time in my one-on-one work is just plan to have the day off, right? Like plan to nap for the rest of the day. And if anything else happens, it's going to be a bonus. If you feel like going for a walk or if you feel like exercising or you feel like organizing, regardless of whether the thing that you feel like doing is low impact, low energy, high energy, whatever that is, plan for the day off. And then anything that happens can be a really nice bonus on top of that. But as soon as you get home, you might be hungry, right? You're fasting anywhere from 3 or more hours before the ketamine, you're fasting, right? So maybe you get home and you're hungry, you want to eat some food. I recommend really nourishing food. Food is really grounding. And you want the foods that have that grounding effect on you. You want whole foods, you want the diet that supports you. You know what that is. I'm not going to suggest one to you. So you want to eat the foods that are going to really meet you where you're at. So whether that's a bigger meal or a lighter meal is up to you and your body. You know your body best. And whether you're hungry or not is also going to depend on you and really learning to tune in and say like, hey body, like what do you want right now? How can I best serve you? What can I best give you to nourish you? And that could be food, it could be hydration, it could be like a really yummy bone broth, right? Which is has, hydration and nutrients at the same time. Whatever that is for you, really leaning into getting your body taken care of. And that also can be really grounding, right? When we've been floating up in the ether as ketamine does, food brings us back to earth. So that could be like the first thing maybe that you do when you get home. Okay. So now you've gotten a good ride home, right? You have someone who's supporting you on your journey from the clinic to your wherever you're staying, whether you're home or you're visiting somewhere. You've arrived and you've like taken care of your hydration and nutrition needs. What next? This is the part that is the wild card. This is the part that is like, what do you want to do? Do you want to take a nap? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to journal? Do you want to meditate? Um, what are the activities that are going to support the neuroplasticity that the ketamine has opened up and make it feel really good, really nourishing, really like opening up possibilities? And that is why I don't recommend any screens, whether it's work screens or social media screens, even like TV or anything like that. What can you do that allows you to stay connected with your true essence so that that neuroplasticity that has been opened up isn't getting stamped by something out there, that it's really just feeding your insights and your best intentions back to you. So, yeah, skip the emails. I know sometimes we get out of a psychedelic journey and we're like, oh my gosh, I know the meaning of life. I need to tell everybody. Avoid that as well. Or sometimes you get out of a ketamine journey, you're like, oh my God, this person, I need to go tell this person, give them a piece of my mind. Skip the heavy conversations, okay? Like, really, if it's that important, if it's that eye opening, if it's that relevant, and if it's that true, it'll still be there the next day. It'll still be there a week later. And even by then, there might be more insights that have opened up to help support whatever that argument or that point is that you want to make. So just let the time after ketamine be a journey inwards. Really let it be a time that you connect with yourself. So skip the screens, skip the, heavy conversation outward. Definitely stay away from the news. And just how present can you be with your environment? How can you really be with yourself, with the house that you're in, whether it's your own or someone else's? Like, you might be in an Airbnb, you might be on like a ketamine destination journey. I don't really know. But how can you really be with yourself and your immediate environment, practicing the power of presence? Because the power of presence, like, is in every single philosophical, religious, and esoteric study, right? Like the power of now. There's a reason for that. So, can you use that neuroplasticity to really come back to yourself and be with yourself and your own experience? And then as you connect with your own experience, like, notice how you want to either capture that or express that. Here's a few options, right? Maybe you want to sit down and journal some of your epiphanies, realizations, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you want to voice note, right? Like maybe you want to take out your phone and voice note yourself, like saying some of the things that are coming up for you. Maybe you want to draw, right? Like maybe you want to come into some art therapy. However you want to express, maybe you want to dance, right? Like whatever it is that you wants to express through you following this journey that you've had, allow space for that to happen. And also jot it down and practice unattachment or disattachment from it, right? This doesn't have to be like the most magnificent, insightful, powerful insight. Just like jot something down and know that the messages or the making sense of it is going to unfold. In my one-on-one work, I really split things up into three processes or three parts of the process, right? The preparation, the making sense, and the integration. If you have just gotten back from a session and you have more sessions to come, you're in the making sense phase, right? So this is where you're kind of gathering, right? Like, okay, like in the integration phase is where we make everything whole. That's when we put the puzzle together. Right now, you're just gathering puzzle pieces. So gather those puzzle pieces. Be like, okay, I saw this thing. I imagined this thing. I felt this thing, whatever it is. Jot it down, but don't feel the rush to be like, what does it mean? Let me look up the meaning of all this. Just allow it to be a time to gather without attachment, without any need to have it make sense immediately. And as you're gathering this data, right, like as you're jotting things down, just know that it's nice to have that because whether you're working one on one with someone or you're making use of the integration phase on your own, it's going to be nice to have those puzzle pieces gathered, right? Like in my one-on-one work with clients, we get together usually the day after their ketamine and we talk about these puzzle pieces, right? We really break them down and we do the best to like understand them to so that the puzzle piece is polished so that later when it's going into that integration piece or phase rather, it's all coming together in a really beautiful way. And I just want to say that for a lot of people that I've worked with, this concept of giving yourself the day off is new, right? And if that's you, that's okay. If it makes you uncomfortable, then there's medicine there for you, right? And also, if it makes you uncomfortable, what you can do to mitigate that discomfort or mitigate that time window, if that's like really important to you, is to have your ketamine session as late in the day as you can, because you can work up to the ketamine session. Although, again, if you go to the episode of like how to prepare for ketamine, we're talking about the neuroplasticity, right? Being activated and the things that come up before the ketamine are going to influence you just as much, if not more, as the things that you experience after. So it's not like my highest recommendation to work right up until the ketamine, especially if you have a stressful job. Really taking that day off could be something novel and new for you. And there could be insights and unfoldings and messages for you just in that of the discomfort of taking a day off. Even that could have something to offer you for your ketamine journey. Not everything that happens with ketamine is in the actual ketamine. Sometimes it's the way to ketamine, the way that you're feeling after ketamine, the days after ketamine. So just know that when you subscribe or you enroll in ketamine, it's the full journey, right? From the moment you sign up, maybe even the moment you consider it, you're on this journey of transformation. You're on this journey of change. And so taking the day off, especially if it's something that's new and novel for you, and especially if it brings up discomfort for you, that is something that you can talk about with your integration coach or whoever is helping you with this process. And know, right? Like I'm talking about the discomfort. Know that discomfort is an emotion. And emotions, what are they? They are energy in motion. And so they're energy that comes up to deliver a message. So whether that message is discomfort, right? Whether whatever emotions come up for you, discomfort, sadness, grief, anger, joy, elation, ecstasy, whatever it is that comes up following the ketamine journey, can you open up your vessel to let that emotion through without needing to understand it, without judging it, without really doing much else other than like letting that motion move through you and allowing yourself to be with whatever comes up, right? If you want to cry, if you want to scream into a pillow, if you want to just like get on your knees and just like put your hands up in the air, whatever it is, can you allow yourself to go there? Because even that has medicine for you. Even that might be insight into something that you haven't given yourself full permission to do that is important for your healing. And just know that this time following your ketamine journey, right? Like right now, I'm talking about the micro of like, what do you do right after ketamine? Know that that is just the beginning of the integration process. As I said earlier, this is the part where you're gathering puzzle pieces of a puzzle that you'll put together later. So allow yourself to gather those pieces. The integration piece is where those insights turn into lasting change. And I've been getting a lot of questions about integration. So just know that I hear you. There are episodes down the line that are going to talk about different integration processes that you can bring into your experience that you can work with as you move forward, right? Like I said, the preparation, the making sense, and then the integration piece. So as you get out of the making sense piece, as you've gotten your puzzle pieces and you're like, okay, how do I put these together? How do I really make ketamine change my life? That is the integration piece. And there are so many different paths up that mountain. And I'm so excited to bring that information to you in coming episodes. All right. That brings us to the end of the episode. So just to sum up, the time after ketamine is where your brain Play-Doh is most malleable and softest. And so you really want to protect that time. You want to protect how you get home from the clinic, what you're doing when you arrive. You want to practice listening to your intuition, your body, yourself, especially for a lot of the people I work with. This is new. So that is, what do you want to do? What foods do you want to eat or not eat? Things like that. So that time after the ketamine itself is really sacred time for you to really listen and do whatever you want to do, whether you want to record your insights through journaling, voice notes, dance, whatever it is, allowing your emotions to come up, really letting that time of that open neuroplasticity be the time where you spend the most time with yourself, the most time in the present moment, knowing that there is so much magic that exists in the present moment. If there wasn't, we wouldn't have monks that spend their entire lives meditating on mountaintops to practice being in the present moment. So I guarantee you, I promise you, every spiritual, esoteric, philosophical lineage talks about the power of presence, and that's not coincidence. It is just a fact that there's a lot of richness in the present moment. And that's what you get to practice after ketamine, in those hours after ketamine. It's really a gift to give yourself the time to slow down, to listen to yourself, to do whatever you want, whether it's a lot or a little, but leaving it open ended, letting it be spontaneous and letting it be current, right? Um, Present, current, relevant to however you're feeling without like, oh, I committed myself to this thing before I went on this journey and now I feel obligated to do it. None of that. And this is the point of the episode where I want to really, really nail down that rest is productive. Our society isn't really versed in that way. I like to think of rest like a slingshot, right? Like you're pulling back to then catapult forward. So give yourself that beautiful time to rest. Give yourself the space, the ability to rest, especially if this is something that you're not used to and something that is like foreign and novel and like not a part of your life. That's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you for tuning in to what to do after ketamine. Thank you for letting me guide you on this episode. This is a question that I talk about all the time in my one-on-one work. I get questions about it all the time. So I'm so excited to have this as a resource. If you have any insights, I would love to hear feedback, whether it's in fan mail, leaving a comment, sending an email. I would love to know how this episode landed, whether it's like, oh, this is great, or maybe what it inspired in you. That's really fun for me to know what the conversation that I brings up in you. So all of that information of how to reach out is in the show notes. I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me here today on Ketamine Connections. Again, my name is Anna Krishtal. So happy you're here. Stay curious out there, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.